The Western diet is characterized by large portions of unhealthy, high-caloric food and meat consumption with less than adequate vegetable intake. This low intake is inversely correlated to how often meals are consumed outside of the home, in restaurants or fast food outlets. These dietary patterns have been shown to contribute to the increasing incidence of overweight and obese populations. Research has found that changing both portion sizes and the energy density of foods or menus are potentially effective in maintaining satiety and reducing energy intake without decreasing customer satisfaction. Therefore, the authors of this paper hypothesized that increasing the portion size of healthy food products, like vegetables, led to a higher consumption of them, and that decreasing the portion size of meat would lead to a lower consumption of meat products. They also hypothesized that the adaptation of portion sizes would not lead to a decrease in customer satisfaction. Through this method, restaurants can not only help the populations they serve, but also the natural environment.
3 restaurant locations of a major restaurant chain in the Netherlands were conveniently chosen due to their diverse customer base and location to enhance representativeness. They were recruited and informed first via email and then a follow-up phone call. Once they agreed, the researcher conducted a site visit to discuss the intervention. A crossover design was used to randomly assign a sequence of an intervention or control condition for each restaurant. Approximately 400 guests visited the restaurants each evening. This resulted in a total of 2,080 unique plates and 1,006 observational questionnaire. In the intervention period, the vegetable portion size on the plates of the main dishes were doubled and the portion size of meat on the plates were reduced by an average of 12.5%. In the control period, the portion sizes of the main dishes were maintained as usual. Plate measurements were conducted by 2 to 3 trained research assistants per location on Saturday evenings between 6 and 10 p.m. 5 samples of each component of the plates and side dishes were measured on a calibrated scale before and after preparation. The average weight was calculated and was used to obtain the average serving portion. Customized spoons were used to correspond to the correct amount. After guests consumed their food, the leftovers were weighed and then returned to the kitchen. Participants took an average of 5 to 10 minutes to complete the questionnaire, remaining unaware that they were involved in an experiment. They were asked to rate their satisfaction on a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from very dissatisfied to very satisfied. On their menu choice, reasons and frequency for visiting the restaurant, how often they dine out in general, how they felt about the amount of vegetables and meat that was served, and the importance of vegetables when dining. Descriptive statistics, independent sample t-tests, and one-way ANOVA tests were used to analyze data.
Of the 1,006 participants, 54% were women and 46% were men, aged 9 to 88 years. The control group had 536 participants, and the intervention group had 470. Most persons recorded having tertiary education, 37%, and almost two-thirds of the study population had children, 68.8%. The majority of the participants visited the restaurants for leisure, with 42.9% claiming this is their first visit, while a quarter of the participants visited 1 to 2 times per year. The results of MANOVAs revealed that vegetable consumption from plates increased to 87%, and the total vegetable consumption increased 30% during the intervention period. Meat consumption was significantly lower by 13% during the intervention period than the control, thus supporting the hypothesis that increasing vegetable portion size leads to a high consumption of them, as does increasing the portion size of meat, that lowers its consumption. There were also significant differences in consumption of vegetables and location of the restaurants as highlighted in the table.
Action scores for both intervention and control conditions indicated that the amount of vegetables and meat was still acceptable to the participants. Satisfaction with the main dish was significantly lower during the intervention period. However, participants were still very satisfied with their meal. In both conditions, the satisfaction scores indicated that the participants were very satisfied with the restaurant, which partially supports the portion size of meat, would not lead to a decrease in customer satisfaction. In the control period, men consumed more meat. During the intervention period, it was found that participants with children ate significantly more vegetables from their plates. Participants who visited their restaurant for business consumed significantly higher total amount of vegetables than those who came for leisure. Age and the amount of vegetables consumed, the reported importance of eating vegetables when dining out, and the amount of vegetables consumed from plates and total consumption. Involvement in food choices and the amount of vegetables consumed from plates and the total consumption. Liking vegetables and the amount of vegetables consumed from plates and overall. Willingness to eat more vegetables and total vegetable consumption. Knowledge of the amount of vegetables one has eaten during the day and the amount of vegetables consumed from plates and total consumption. Frequency of visits and vegetable consumption from plates and overall. Difficulties assessing whether one has eaten enough vegetables and the total amount of vegetables consumed. Carefulness with regard to vegetables and meat consumed.
The main results show that there was an increase in vegetable consumption of 87% during the intervention period in comparison to the control period. It was also noted that less vegetables were consumed in side dishes during the intervention period. Although there was a decrease, vegetable consumption still had an overall increase of 30%. The difference in portion size was noticed by patrons, but this did not have a negative impact on customer satisfaction. This indicated that portion size could be changed without affecting customer satisfaction, which correlated to the literature reviewed. Location played a significant role on the results. The effect of the intervention was observed to be most apparent at location 1. The reasoning for this was narrowed to two main factors. The significant differences were identified to be the frequency which visitors went to the restaurants, as well as the perceived amount of vegetables they were given. The implication of this study are that modifications can be made to portion sizes in restaurants that can be changed without affecting customer satisfaction. An increase in vegetable consumption and a decrease in meat consumption can have different effects. One effect may be a reduction in obesity. Another effect is that there could be a positive influence on the environment. Since vegetable production requires less water and produces less carbon dioxide emissions than animals, an improved ecological footprint can be obtained.
1. The consumption of appetizers and desserts were not measured since they were not weighed, which could have affected the consumption of unhealthy snacking. Number 2. The consumption of beverages were not measured, which could have increased appetite and food intake of salty and fatty foods. Number 3. Every component of the main and side dishes were not measured accurately before serving. Future studies may increase the accuracy of these measurements by weighing all individual dishes before serving. This is one of the first studies to investigate the effects of modifying the portion sizes of vegetables and meat, including in a main dish in a real-life restaurant setting. These findings provide support for the idea that modifications of portion sizes are an effective tool for enhancing healthy and sustainable diets in restaurants.